What is up, Creative Thinkers? It's Chris David G, CDG as my friends call me, and my buddy Ross, a.k.a. Rossi, at gmail.com. No,
that's not really
it's
my
not
email.
his email. Do not email that. Someone's going to get it. You know what? I'm going to rock the sunglasses right now because it's sunny and we're in San Francisco. And we're on set, man. We're live on location. Well,
Sun's coming out.
We're on location. And we got, people running. We had BDH part of the crew got all wet. He was in the danger zone. If you haven't seen signs back here, it's like do not stand by the wall. So as a Texas boy, a Houston guy, we don't have crashing waves like this. So I'm loving it.
We had that city crew come by trying to wave on the camera and ask if we were getting drafted because they saw the hats.
And I rolled with it. I was like, yeah, man, you want me to sign something? But I didn't do that. So let's get into this. All right, what are we doing today? Who are we talking about? What are the topics we're going to discuss? Let's get into that. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about creative leadership on the business side. I think it's so important if you're trying to move up and do bigger things. From a departmental standpoint, like you really have to understand the business side of creative. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely, it's a must.
And then authentic, and then just being authentic, man. Like that's something that we're gonna.
Be true to yourself.
I want to go hard on. And Jason really, I think,
embodied it.
Yeah, like he take these off. Can't see Ross's eyes. He definitely embraced that. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Vizio and the freaking Oracle Park visit, dude, and just being. I mean, we talked about it. 22 years, man. He's a legend. A legend. The guy's worked in sports longer than, I don't know, I'm trying to think what's been a 20-year run.
I don't think there was any internet when Vizio started.
Damn.
Yeah, man.
No Facebook.
Like Vizio is a 22-year veteran. And like we talked about in the interview, he's the senior. I believe he's a senior.
You know what? I put it to you this way. If you've been in the league longer than 22 years, hit us up and we'll correct this.
Yeah, 22 years. Senior creative in MLB, which is just to have that staying power is crazy.
Yeah.
But,
And he's crazy.
He is crazy, and we love to give him a hard time because he's a good friend of ours. But to last 22 years
it's crazy.
In MLB or working for any organization, any sports organization, there's a reason he's been around for 22 years, we talked about it.
We talked about this, too. Dude, it's really like 32 years, because he's been through multiple championships, 3. And there's a lot of glory in championships and fun, but it's a lot of work. Your workload basically doubles. Everybody wants the logo on this and that, and where people wouldn't spend money, they're now spending money. So it's a blessing and a curse. But
it's a payoff.
But he's one that really helped me through when I was going through the championship and we won the World Series. He was one of the first people to reach out. I really don't remember who reached out to who, but he was one of the first people to say, hey, actually he reached out to me and said, hey, be thinking about this. It's coming. You're going to want to be prepared for this. You have basically a window between right now and the beginning of the spring training and that first game to be a champion. It's a very short window. Yes, you can thrive on it and embrace it for multiple years, but as a business, but really you can only claim that for one season and then you're defending it. So, as a creative leader, and I think a lot of times we become communicators and marketers as creative directors or, art directors. Immediately my mind shifted. I'm like, okay, everything we're doing, we're putting, 2017 blankety blank, or we're using that mark as a bug on the photos,
And it does really show up on everything.
Yeah, and I call it like maximizing, maximizing the hell out of it. Yeah. So when we sat with him, we talked a lot about sponsorship and integration and thinking about the business side of creative, and it's not always the sexiest thing to talk about. We do want to talk about design and all those things.
Some don't like to talk about it at all. Yeah.
I mean, that's true.
It's a sore subject, basically, for a lot of people.
Even in regards to content and like video and photo, there's so many things that we want to do on the creative side to push a brand forward. But at the end of the day, it needs to drive revenue. Like that's what any business leader is gonna want. Like, okay, how's this making us
That's
money?
what moves the needle with the suits, basically.
And it's a tricky thing because it's like, well, how does creative add to the bottom line? It obviously doesn't. We don't sell like a thing, like a sponsorship or a ticket, but you can if you position it right, and if you say, through this creative idea that we built, and by the way, a sponsor, this could easily, we could easily have a sponsor on board. This is a program or creative look we could roll out, and here's the business tie. It's just a chief marketing officer, immediately you got their attention. It's like, oh, okay, now we're talking dollars.
Yeah. So what Brian was talking about, which really resonated, is you have to get buy-in. And
perfect term.
And they don't teach you that in design school or art school. As you move up the ladder, you're going to be doing less and less actual design. You're going to be in Photoshop and Illustrator less and less, and you're going to be dealing with other departments.
Yeah.
You'll be dealing with sponsorship, merchandise, community. So basically, to put it simply, you have to learn to play nice. And I think you and I both learned that probably the hard way, but it's so important because, when you're a young creative, I know you take your work so seriously, you take it so personally. And I understand that, we've all been there. But, when you have other departments who basically are your clients, when you're an in-house creative, giving their input, and there's the famous make the logo bigger, or sometimes they'll even get a little more into the weeds, like, can you move this logo here, or the partner wants to change the color on this. And so what happens is, when you're a younger creative, you just like your fists go up. You get very because you take your work so personally, you're almost insulted that your work is going to be sullied by like a corporate logo. So automatically from the get-go, it becomes this adversarial relationship with sponsorship or marketing or whomever, and that's just not sustainable.
No.
And like I said, I think we probably learned that the hard way, and we still do talk our we get our say in, but what Brian really hit on was, you have to play nice. You have to learn how to include everyone from the get-go, and by doing that, you break down these walls, and you get buy-in, and that adversarial element is just gone.
The thing that I would like, this is my POV, and it's an easy way to embrace this. To again, it's not the sexiest thing, right? It's like, oh, I'm here to create. I'm here to do these things. True that. Mm-hmm. But anyone in a creative role that is leading a team or wants more responsibility, if you can't rattle off the core objectives of the marketing team, it's not a good situation. You really can't speak intelligently about the creative because, you're not hitting those core values. And so, a marketing plan is created for sure for every team. Just ask for it. Be like, hey, can I see the marketing plan for 2022 or whatever? And then make sure that those core objectives are part of your activation when you pitch an idea. It's like, hey, we really want to do this series of photos when the players walk in. And by the way, it's going to hit on our number 2 core objective, which is fan engagement. And so we really feel like that can, potentially raise, $100,000, whatever. And dude, now you've given an action-ready plan to a marketing leader that's what they're tasked with. Marketing is all about marketing the product you have and creating more revenue. So yes, we're there to create amazing, sexy, branded, killer content, but you also have to contribute to the business plan. And so
absolutely,
just ask your boss, be like, hey, can I see don't email it to me, just show it to me. Or, hey, I'm really curious, I want to make sure that our creative strategy for 2022 or beyond, whatever, aligns with the same goals as the advertising team. And they're, dude, I mean, no one would say no to that. They're like, absolutely, we'll share that with you.
Well, and that's just a way of making yourself more valuable as a creative.
Totally.
I guess, hey, I know it's a very controversial subject. I know people get very, have very strong feelings about sponsorship or other departments. But I guess, in my many years working for a Major League Baseball team
There we go.
as a creative, nice. I will say, I guess my best advice is to just pick your battles.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, man. I agree to that. You have to. Who wants to, we had to change our term from like stakeholders or departments to clients. And it was because a couple things. One, I wanted my team to be prepared to go to an agency and not have the, departmental mentality. Like, you have to treat them like they're paying your bills, and in some form or fashion they do actually give you a lot of the value that you're there for. If you didn't get job tickets and creative cool activations and campaigns, and you wouldn't be busy. So we started calling them clients, and I think that's the right thing to do, because it prepares your crew and yourself for the next, if you decide to get out of sports and go into a traditional agency role, but it also makes you realize that they're paying the bills, and you need to play nice, compromise, and it's just part of maturity. It's not like attitude of, well, this is the vision. To me, it's about making a change. I know this is funny, it's off subject, but I remember one time this particular sponsorship person was just really hinged on like making this thing bigger, and I was like, did the client ask for this? And like, no, we just think it was like, I think it needs to blah 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 blah. And I was like, all right, cool. And so I didn't change the size, but I told him I did. I was like, hey man, here goes version 2, and I changed the name of it very, obviously like version 2. And I was like, hey, we made that 15% bigger. Just to see what would happen. Cool, thanks. Boom, it went out. Don't do that, by the way. It's just a funny story.
If we're going into tricks of the trade, here's what I've found works. Just make the logo 10% or 15% bigger, because as you know, if you're an illustrator and
it goes from here.
Yeah, you
to
just and you make the logo 15% bigger. It's really not that much bigger,
and it's a good number too.
Yeah, so 15. Then when you send it back, sponsorship will be like, "Did you actually make this bigger? It doesn't look bigger to me." 15%. You can tell your client it's 15% bigger.
I've actually even screenshotted the little 50% just to be like, you can share that with them. It's a good trick. You know what? But I want to shift gears a little bit, because I absolutely don't want to forget to talk about Jason and the Golden State Warriors and Chase Center, man. Dude, sick venue.
I never seen anything like it. It's spectacular.
It's like
like a mini city, like a mini, I don't know, like there's all these surrounding buildings, and there's a studio set, and they just started dressing it up for Christmas.
And it's a playground for a creative, to go into a new venue and have like sexy offices and be inspired about the architecture. There's advertising everywhere, meaning like Jason and his team were able to do illustration all over the place.
Beautiful art everywhere, man.
Everywhere. So check out that episode, but and you'll see a little bit of what we're talking about, or connect with Jason. But like, man, what was cool is, first of all, we being on location, going on the court, man, and seeing the LED boards, man, and going into the deep, premium levels of the stadium. We sat down with him, and we had a great convo. So many good takeaways.
We were 1%ers.
What does that mean?
We were 1%ers for a day. We were rich folk for a day.
I mean, that's my everyday life.
Sorry, maybe for you, but not me. I don't get to go into.
Stick my pinky out.
I don't get to go into bunker suites and
it was dope.
Every day, but
it felt like a club, like a speakeasy. Like, it was just.
I
had to ask him. I was like, "Is it always like this?"
Hopefully, you guys saw the video. The vibe of that place was just like uber luxurious.
Yeah, very luxurious. And so, but going back to what came out of there was just the total opposite. Like, man, the conversation was so vulnerable, so authentic. I mean, he was
Extremely.
very straight up, man. You know, so humble.
Yeah.
Crazy. You
Too
know?
humble.
Yeah. And obviously, you know, Jason's a friend of ours, and I think that's why he's such a good friend. Like, I'm like, guy, you know, dude, you've done, I mean, pretty. I'm 21 years, right, or something like that.
21 years with the Warriors.
Incredible, dude. So many.
It was his first job out of college, which is crazy.
That's a wild. And then to design the team's logo and identity, and to have it be so unique and clean, and everywhere I looked, I'm like, oh man, dude, it's such a unique. And he shares that story, but in a very like, oh yeah, you know, he asked me if I wanted to make it, and I said, sure.
Yeah, he says it
I'm
very
like,
matter of factly. You know, he talks about it like, you know, like he talks about, like he would talk about like raking the leaves or something. You know, like, oh yeah, I designed one of the most iconic logos in the NBA, and you know, he gives the credit to the players and the championship culture, which that all plays into it
For
too.
sure.
But the players didn't design that logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so
And
don't be so humble, Jason. Come
Yeah,
on,
man. Come on, take a tip from this. No, that I love his spirit, man. And every question we threw at him, man, he was just super authentic, and I think that was my big takeaway, was just
for sure
being authentic and embracing it, and don't, you know, like, it sounds cliche, you know, but don't put on a front, man. If you had humble beginnings, you know, it's all good. And it's a lot easier to say that when you're in a leadership role, and it's like, well, now he can, but he's always kind of been like that as long as I've known him.
Yeah. So yeah, we've known Jason for like, he came to maybe the second or third connect, so we have a history with Jason too, just like with Vizio. It's just great. It was just great hearing his whole story. You know, he talked a little bit about things that he, you know, the times when he was told he sucked, and it was so relatable.
Talked about, you know, his time in the community college system.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't put that on their resume, or they don't, but he shouted it out, and he was proud of it. And you know what? I'm a product of the community college system too. So we all take a different path, and he was more than willing to share that. And you know, we were talking afterwards, and it was like, man, we could have kept that conversation going for another 30 minutes. I mean, that's how much we were flowing with Jason. We had questions, and I don't even know if we got to specific questions that we wanted to ask, but you know, it was just the conversation was flowing, and it was just
that was my biggest
beautiful thing.
That was my biggest takeaway, is because, you know, first of all, what an incredible role, what an incredible team, given their recent history and success, and then to now have a new venue. He has a great team too as well. We started talking about, I mean, it's just a really rock star situation in my opinion, you know, coming from the industry. And then to find out that, you know, he's just so humble, man, and he's very, you know, I don't want to say basic beginning, but it was very simple. Like, you know, I applied.
He's
I got
super
the gig,
low key,
you know, and he just kind of like really put it in perspective that it's not that hard, man. Like, you really just have to have the talent, the drive, have the right opportunity, and you know what? And I think we ended up finishing the talk with something like, you know, you should reach out to Jason if you're looking to, you know, do anything along the lines of what we just talked about. If you're interested in, which to me, that's what it's all about. It's like when someone's open like that, now you know they're open. They're more open about their process than most people will, you know, kind of let go. And I know for a long time I would try and reach out to people. They would literally not respond to the back. You know, I'm like, dude, I kind of put myself out there by saying, hey,
right?
I see what
we talked about.
Yeah,
this.
I see. You know, I see
Can't
your
return
role
my
and your
email?
title. Yeah. You know, I'm doing this, which you've done before. You know, do you think we could chop it up, or you know, get time on your calendar? They just don't respond, or respond very late. And I'm the king of that, so I understand. But when it's someone in your industry and someone reaching out, they're already putting themselves in a vulnerable spot. Like, man, that was my biggest takeaway. He's an open book, you know.
And I just want to say this. And we talked about this. But one of the big things I love about our boy Jason is that he doesn't. He works for one of the premier sports franchises in the world. I mean, the Warriors are a worldwide brand. They're a championship. Multiple championships. Just, like, everyone knows who the Warriors are, and he could easily take on that persona of, I work for the Warriors.
Yeah.
You can't talk to me. And those who work in sports, I mean, there are people like that. They work for franchises, successful franchises, and they kind of take on that persona, like, hey, I'm creative director, I'm art director of such and such team, and you know what? We never bought into that bullshit, man. And that's why, Jason personifies that.
Yeah.
He could easily be that guy.
Yeah.
He could easily be that guy, but we know, hey, it's all about the work.
Yeah.
It's all about the creative. It doesn't matter if you work for the Warriors or if you work for an NBA team that hasn't made the playoffs in 15 years. I mean, creative's creative. I mean, I've seen a lot of great work come out of teams or universities that are not known as winning teams or are not worldwide brands. But Jason personifies that, and man, I just really appreciate that about him.
And another good takeaway is just using that platform to propel other people forward. Like, I mean, a lot of good creatives have came out of that camp, man. 21 years. He's
Aaron with the 49ers.
He's really cultivated a cool thing there. Aaron's a great example with the 49ers. But I think from let's say I'm the first, I just got hired. Noah, we met Noah at the 49ers, motion graphics and designer. What up? Hey, on location, that's what happens. I think they want an autograph. We could easily just not give those folks the time of day, but to me, that's where the real value is, and the leadership comes in. Like, if I'm young and I'm in this league and I'm trying to figure out what hustle means, and I just finally got this gig that I went to college for, an internship. Like, I want to connect with those leaders, man. And like you said, man, part of it could be personality. Another part could just be like they're busy, period. But if someone's sharing their story and telling you, how they came up and willing to give you some time, man, I would be all over that. As a matter of fact, I still try and do that. Like, man, you know what? You're 10 years ahead of me. I'm barely doing what you have done for 10, 15 years, and that, I think, is the real opportunity there, is when someone is authentic and is willing to share their process and their route and some of the things they believe in. Man, take it. That's getting, to me, it's like getting schooled. It's like the second layer of education, right?
Reach out, pick someone's brain. We talked about in our last conversation, learn from people ahead of you, learn from people behind you. There's so many opportunities to take tidbits from people that have done it before and people that are trying to do it. Yeah.
No, man. If you're a young creative out there, I can't stress enough. Take a chance, send an email, ask for time, and if the person doesn't respond, just move on to the next one. Trust me. I feel like in this community, the MLC Connect community, that's the culture we try to create. And not to get too cliche, but it's gather, learn, return, apply, share. Like, that's what it means. Like, connect, share your stuff, and help that person go back and kill it. You know what? We do this every episode. Like we've been doing it for 20 years. We have caps, as Ross puts it. He corrected me last episode. Don't call them hats, man. Call them caps. That's how Ross talks. So we have caps, and this side is mine and that side is his, and this is a small glimpse of our collection, but we like to talk about, each one has a story. Why do I own a 49ers hat? And, why am I repping this? So we're gonna spend some time, if you're cool with that. I'll let you go first this time. Tell me a little bit about one of your lids, and
yes,
what's the story behind it. Go for it.
So the last hat I talked about had a little sentimental value. Had a nice little story. But this cap that I'm going to talk about today, it has a bit more of an interesting and some might find it funny background, but I'm going to choose this 1994 Nashville Sounds authentic on-field cap. And this is one of these older new era caps, which they were made in the USA, 100% wool. I mean, if you've been collecting hats for a while, you know if you got these wet, they'd shrink because they're 100% wool. But first of all, check out this logo, man. It's like got the little, this old-timey baseball guy. He's swinging a bat, but it's actually a guitar. And this Nashville N is made to look like a musical note. I think it's a genius logo, but that's not why I want to talk about this hat. Little known fact about me is in 1995, I actually attended professional sports mascot school. I have a diploma and everything. I actually put on an outfit.
This is crazy.
I performed in the heat. Yes, you know this, but a lot of people don't know it. I performed in the heat and humidity of Old Greer Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. After a game, I probably lost about 5 pounds of water weight. And I wanted to potentially try to become a professional mascot at some point.
Congratulations, man. You are a mascot.
I mean, right. It is an actual gig. But this is before I decided I want to be a graphic designer.
That's crazy.
I was a year or two out of high school, and I was still trying to find myself. I mean, we've all been there, but this was the hat of the Nashville Sounds when I performed as Champ, the dinosaur,
crazy.
At Greer Stadium in Nashville in 1995. Pardon me, in 1995. And this was the hat the team wore, and this was the cap that I bought at the team store in 1995.
What is that, like a little Luigi batting a ball?
It's like an old-timey baseball guy, and
Or
I just
Mario?
think it's a really cool logo.
It is cool.
It's cool, and those who know minor league baseball, the Nashville Sounds, their scoreboard is
shout out minor
actually
leagues.
their scoreboard is actually shaped like a guitar.
Dang.
So that's my story, just a little funny story, and now you guys know a little bit about me.
It's amazing.
Let's hear about one of your hats, Chris.
Well, I don't have a cool story like that. I didn't go to, an institution to, that's just crazy, man.
Institution.
That's impressive. An academic institution for clown school. No, I'm sorry. You know what? You're right though. Man, I have friends who are mascots, and it's truly a gift. To me, they're comedians, right? Like you really gotta be able to like put on a show. And I know it's different when you put on.
They have skits and
incredible.
acts, and it's grueling work actually.
It is. It's but so you know what? I'll get into mine. So we'll change the subject a little bit.
All right.
This is mine. This is my Dynamo. It's a snapback. Don't hate. That's another episode. But it's a new logo and it's a rebrand. And to me, for those of you who don't know, my first job in sports was the Houston Dynamo, and it was the first year they came to the city. So the inaugural year, went all the way to the MLS Cup and won. And so I actually have a championship ring from this organization, and I learned so much, man. I was in the marketing department at that time. Like, I think my title was like marketing coordinator or something, and I made the shift from marketing to creative because for a lot of reasons, but basically, you know, the advertising just wasn't coming in through that because our mother company was just giving us stuff from another city, and so we were redoing it anyway. And finally, my boss was like, "Do you want to add graphic designer to your title?" Which I did, and then it kind of changed everything. But the Dynamo was just such a cool organization to see it grow. You know, from I was like employee number 7. I interviewed with Oliver Luck, Andrew Luck's dad, and I remember dude, it's crazy when I was an employee there, he would be like, "Y'all guys got to come see my son. You got to come check him out. He's killing it." And he did look like a man in a high school uniform.
No way.
Yeah, and sure enough, you know, he went on to do great things. But yeah, he would invite us to his high school games, and we knew he was bound for greatness. You know, his dad was a former NFL player, a quarterback. So anyway, I'm still good friends with Oliver Luck, and the Dynamo since then. You know, from a design perspective, I always had issues with the logo. They had their own logo situation early on, but basically it was very complex. And finally, shout out Juan Loya, and I was able to consult on this project. But he really championed the cause to change the logo and make it real simplistic and modernized and trendy. And so it meant a lot to me when they made the change. It was a big commitment. And I always had trouble with it because I couldn't make it small, and it was just super complex. So a little bit of background. So that's my story, and sticking to it. But that's my lid for the day.
Hey man, that's like your origin story. They were the first sports team to give you your shot.
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. That's probably the biggest takeaway from it all.
They created a monster.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
Man, see what you did, Dynamo.
All right,
man.
Well, let's take this home, man. Let's wrap it up. You guys, appreciate you hanging with us. We'll see you on the next one. The waves are crashing again. The sun's coming through. We got a plane to catch. Give us a soundbite of wisdom before we get out of here, man.
This was just a great time. Having great conversations, great topics with some real just leaders in our industry. We maximize our time here. We get to talk to 5 awesome folks. Visit a great city, great region, and man, we'll see where we go next.
Hey, if you want us to come to your town, give us a shout. Maybe let us know where you think we're going, because we do have that one already planned. But San Francisco, it's been great. Highly recommend. I mean, it's a great sports town. I think what it boils down to, and we're sports guys. So we'll see you guys. Peace, Ross.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
Check you out later.
Salute, my friend. Cheers. Peace.